So, what does it really take for a brand new city sized cruise ship to earn its sea legs? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and see what happens when one of these giants faces its very first and most critical test, its first real journey into the open ocean.
Every single one of these massive ships has a birthday. That's the day it first hits the water. But its first real test, the moment of truth, that happens all alone, out at sea.
And the star of our story today is a new legend getting ready to set sail, Royal Caribbean's latest marvel.
Okay, so picture this. The big day was April 21st, 2026. That's when the brand new Legend of the Seas finally pushed away from the Meyer Turku shipyard in Finland and sailed out for the very first time. But let me be clear, this is no passenger cruise. This is something way more important.
Yeah, this isn't a pleasure cruise with cocktails and pools. This is a high-stakes examination on the ocean's ultimate proving ground. So you might be wondering, what exactly is this whole first trip all about? I mean, why send a massive, empty, brand new ship out into the middle of the ocean?
Well, the answer is a process called sea trials. Think of it as the ship's final exam. It's this whole series of intense technical tests out in open water, and it all has to happen before a single passenger steps on board. Seriously, failure is just not an option here. You've got the safety of thousands of future guests and $1 billion investment all riding on how well these tests go.
And this is not just some casual spin around the bay. The crew is pushing everything to the absolute limit. They're testing how the ship moves and handles in rough, unpredictable water. They're redlining the engines to see what they can take. And they're checking every single system, from navigation to safety equipment, to make sure it all works perfectly.
Now, to really wrap your head around just how huge of an operation this is, let's break it down by the numbers.
First off, the time. We're not talking about a quick afternoon trip. Nope, the ship and its crew are out at sea for a full 10 days of non-stop, around-the-clock testing. And who's actually doing all this work? Well, it's not a skeleton crew. There are more than 2,000 engineers, technicians, and specialists on board. It's basically a small army of experts checking every single wire, valve, and circuit on that ship. And get this, they aren't just hugging the coastline. Over those 10 days, the Legend of the Seas will travel about 2,400 nautical miles. Just to put that into perspective for you, that's roughly the distance from Florida all the way to Ireland. Yeah, it's a serious test drive. So what happens after this grueling 10-day exam is over? The ship doesn't head off to some sunny port. Instead, it turns right around and sails back to the shipyard in Finland. That's where the teams use all the data they collected to make final tweaks and finish the last bits of construction.
Okay, so once the trials are done and all the adjustments are made, the ship finally starts its journey toward welcoming passengers. So how does this floating test lab turn into the vacation spot we're all going to see in the brochures?
The timeline is, well, it's ambitious. The sea trials kick things off in April 2026. Then, just a few months later, on July 4th, it makes its grand debut in Europe. In the fall, it's going to cross the Atlantic to Florida, getting all set for its very first winter season sailing the Caribbean. I mean, that is a whirlwind of a first year. And once it makes it to the States, its new home port will be Fort Lauderdale, Florida. From there, it'll be offering 6- and 8-day cruises to both the Eastern and Western Caribbean. And here's the kicker for all you Royal Caribbean fans. Every single one of its sailings will include a stop at their private island, Perfect Day at CocoCay. All of this, the building, the testing, the travel, it really leads to one final thought. After all of that, what's truly next for the legend? When you really stop and think about it, the whole journey is just incredible. It goes from being just a pile of steel plates in a shipyard to this massive floating city, a vacation destination at sea. It just makes you wonder, what does it truly take to build a modern legend?